All right, this is SFBarkast. I am Jeff Cleary.
I'm Andrew Louder.
And Andrew, where are we today?
We are at the Gashead Tavern.
The Gashead Tavern, which is virtually a brand new bar.
Yeah, I think it's like 9 months old or something, if you believe the people that write into Yelp, which I don't.
Oh, those people, they're so reliable,
they're full of
with
shit.
all their information. It's so reliable.
Each and every one of them.
And the Gashead, I keep wanting to say Gaslight.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Is
I was thinking like
gas?
gas station, gas line, like
Gas Lamp District in
safe
Vancouver?
to say that if we were playing Match Game with Charles Nelson Riley and Brett Summers, and you got to the final and it was gas blank, Gashead would be pretty low. Like you'd be
Charles
a
Nelson
bad
Riley,
contestant, like to try to match Richard Dawson with that.
Although if you're playing with Charles Nelson Riley and
Yeah.
you know he's thinking about head.
That's true. You said gas underage dick.
Gas Cabana Boy blowjob.
What?
And Gashead is where? It's on Mission Street.
Mission between 19th and 20th?
Yes,
Is that
indeed.
true? Is that
And
accurate?
Yeah, and we were like walking around like it's Saturday. Also, we have brand new equipment.
Yeah.
Because
no one wants to hear about our troubles.
because two of our last three podcasts that we recorded, we lost.
Yeah, like so we spent the I guess the last podcast that went out was the Blondies episode. And that and some of that podcast was spent describing and apologizing for the Reno episode.
That was on
And
the
so
heels of the Reno
now
debacle.
This episode will be apologizing for the second failed Dr. Teeth episode.
Yeah.
That had one of our favorite comedians, Dave Thomason, was in town and stopped by. And so, shout out to Dave Thomason. Go see him in L.A. Or anywhere he's performing.
Or watch his show at midnight.
Yes, he works for At Midnight.
Yeah.
On Comedy Central.
And he gave us like all these like great insider like stories about, who's an asshole and who's secretly gay.
Exactly.
And of course we lost it all.
Right. Like he told us who the next like 5 hosts of the Daily Show will be after Trevor Noah's fired.
And it's all like lost. All that gold is lost, like tears in the rain.
Thank you. God damn it! I can't remember his
Hauer?
name. Well, I was going to go for the character's name, Roy Batty.
Oh, wow.
From Blade Runner.
Andrew, you are aiming high.
You know
on
what?
your references.
I say go big or go home. You know that's my motto.
You have it tattooed on your chest.
I do, and it's backwards in case you're looking at me in your rearview mirror, like an ambulance.
So we're in the Mission on a Saturday, and we went to try to find a place we were going to go back to Dr. Teeth.
Right.
And of course, like Saturday, I always say this about my neighborhood, that like I can't go out on a Friday or Saturday night to a bar anymore.
Yeah,
because
it's depressing.
It's just so depressing, and it's so packed and so full of douchebags.
Right.
And then we came down here, and we tried to go to Dr. Teeth. I can't even go out on a Saturday afternoon now.
I know.
Because
it's bananas.
like Dr. Teeth was like totally filled with like douchebags, and then so we were like, then we tried to go to the Phoenix, and that place is packed as well. And then we were like walking around, like thinking, like I was like, maybe we'll go over to Gashead because I heard good things about this place, and it is absolutely this beautiful oasis of sanity in a district that is just filled with drunk assholes now.
In that it's mostly empty.
Yeah.
The only thing that's saving it is its lack of success.
Well, I mean, and we were talking to the bartender here, Shauna, who's like been super nice to us.
Yeah.
And I was like telling her, I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm sure you would rather it be more busy, but like I just want to let you know that this is like this beautiful moment for us.
Right.
To come into a place where we don't have like screaming idiots everywhere. And of course, right after I said that, like a bunch of guys walked in with backwards baseball caps.
That's right. Like Tevia sandals or whatever.
So, but we found the Gaslight, and actually this bar is owned by the people who used to own the Attic.
Oh, okay.
And the Attic was on 24th between Valencia and Mission.
Right.
And they had a very notorious litigation fight with one of their neighbors who was a lawyer. And
okay.
I'm not saying all lawyers are assholes.
Right.
But, the ones that I know are. Shout out to Jim Cotter. I love Jim. But I guess apparently they had a lawyer over there who was just basically litigating them into oblivion, basically saying that even though they had been there forever and they had DJs there forever, like he or she, I don't know, I guess a lawyer, an asshole could be any gender,
Right.
They basically brought like this litigation against them and said that they had to like basically soundproof the entire place.
Good God.
And like, even though they had been like operating under the same.
Like I still can't really wrap my head around like someone who moves into the mission, and like there's no reason to move to the mission unless you like nightlife. Like you wouldn't move here for the nice view or the pristine quietness of the place. Like you would never and so these people that like move here because it's hot and it's expensive, then like immediately move in and they're like, hey, what the fuck? There's like noise and shit. Like this this hot area with like a million restaurants and bars is noisy. Well, how did that happen?
It's like those people who moved. Like there's like a condo that got built right over by 1015 Folsom, which is like the flagship like nightclub.
Yeah,
in
anybody
San
that's
Francisco.
like lived here for more than a year would know like, 1018 Folsom. That's probably going to be a loud place.
Exactly. And then people like buy their condos and go like, well, I didn't know there'd be this much noise.
Right.
It's like, well, like it's like you said, like the Mission is like such an like active, like chaotic, noisy place.
Right.
But like every. Like almost, it seems like every other street has a meditation center. It's like, dude, you guys, it's like having like a meditation center on Bourbon Street. Where it's like,
Right.
hey, can you people be quiet about over there? I know you're drunk. I know you're puking hurricanes out your nose.
So we're trying to do hot box yoga in here. Hot
box yoga. So yeah, I guess this place is owned by the former owner of the Attic, and I believe the Attic is closed now. Yes.
Yeah, well, like the Attic was sort of like a comedian's favorite, wasn't it? Like I
don't know.
Like, I just remember like when the Attic was closing, there were a lot of like comics on Facebook and stuff like that were really busted up about it.
Oh.
So I think it might, it's probably just a good place to go before like the dark room or something like that.
Once again, those are people who probably would never protest or stand up for any cause, but
Right.
like they try to take their bar away from them, and they're oh my god, they are completely
Exactly.
up in arms.
They are Ralph Nader all of a sudden. Like what I will say about this place though, like it does, like it sort of checks a lot of the sort of like Mission Bar boxes as far as design goes. But it seems to like sort of mix and match them in a weird way. Like
It's like when we complain about certain places like Trick Dog or something like that
Right.
being too sort of artificial,
Yeah.
or like having such a artificial sort of interior design. It's like this place kind of has some of those elements, but you know what? It's like an emotion, because like
Yeah.
I'm looking at this place and I'm like, this totally works.
See,
Like, even though you said like they've checked some of the boxes of those like interior designers, I feel like whatever it is, and I can't put my finger on it, like it works here and it doesn't work in other places.
I think this is the Irish mule talking. that seems to be a delicious drink that you procured, and like actually, I want to say Dr. Teeth sort of has a mule menu as well. Like I guess that's the hot drink du jour, but like. So it's basically mixing all kinds of different alcohols with ginger beer.
Yeah.
And yours is basically a Jameson and ginger beer, essentially, right?
Yeah. I mean, they have a Moscow Mule, which is
Right.
like a ginger and vodka.
Right.
And I was asking Shauna what her favorite drink is. She's like, I like tequila. I'm like, that's not for me. I was like, I like whiskey.
I've seen at Dr. Teeth and other places like a Mexican Mule, which is essentially tequila and like jalapenos or something like that.
And you know what? Honestly, whiskey and ginger, like it goes really well together.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
Also, we should say that we are right in the middle of the first of the Final Four games.
Right.
In Indianapolis, Duke is pulling away from Michigan State in the. I mean, there's 15 minutes to go in the second half.
So, like, who are you rooting for? Because, like, you've got
I've got all.
You've got
four.
one school in this matchup, Duke, Michigan State. This, just like that, I've never met anybody that went there that wasn't a gigantic asshole. And then you've got Duke. And that's a shout out to Drew Harmon.
Well, I would
he went to Michigan State.
I think Duke's going to win, but I really would. I I would like Michigan State to win because I know if Michigan State loses, Drew Harmon will just be devastated. He probably won't come out of his house. I mean, like, having gone to Michigan State.
Drew Harmon's not much of a sports fan. I think in fact, I think he went out of his way to like say how little he cares about what's going on, which is sort of like a decision in itself. Like you're at that point, you're sort of like hoping that comes with some kind of like street cred or something like that. Like, ooh, I was hating on being a sports fan before anybody or something.
Well, it's like it's one of those things where like you and I both went to two schools that had like virtually no athletic program. I think at NYU.
Are you saying the NYU Violets weren't dominating in any of their sporting endeavors?
The Violets, I think the Purple Violets.
Well, didn't they also sort of like
there
was a Wildcat mascot as Bobcat?
Because
so what
right
the
before,
fuck were they?
Because they were the Violets.
Okay.
But when you and I went to school there, they had just instituted this library like computer system called Bobcat, and I think enough people had complained about like basically having a flower as their like mascot. They said, okay, we can take the Bobcat and like have some jackass dress up in a Bobcat uniform and dance around. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're going to lose all the games.
Yeah, exactly. Like. But we're still not going to care.
But so, like, you and I, who we're both big sports fans, we went to both NYU and San Francisco State, which is just the fucking desert for sports.
Yeah.
Drew Harmon, who doesn't give a shit about sports, went to Michigan State, who are, like, if they're not in the Final Four every year, they're winning the Final Four every year.
Right.
And they have a good, like, football team, too. I'm sure their fucking water polo team is great.
Right.
And he doesn't give a shit about that. So, like, that's the way you play it out, God. That's fine with me.
God damn it.
Do you want to take a break?
We can do that if you like.
Oh, I also wanted to say that the owners here, they also own Murio's Trophy Room.
Oh, okay.
And I was asking Sean, I was like, hey, so were they always the owner? Because what I'm getting at is that Murio's, there's like a BC and AD for Murios.
Totally, yeah.
Like the BC is when it was just like really seedy.
Like a stripper's waiting room or something like that.
Yeah. And then like somebody took it over and then put some bunch of money into it and did a remodel on the inside, and it actually looks kind of nice. A lot of people who love the old Murios really complained about like them like taking out all the stink and the dank.
Exactly.
But whatever. But that's. The owners here are the people who bought Murios from the old Swedish lady,
right?
And she moved back to Stockholm or something like that.
Ugh.
And then now
don't get me started on Sweden. No, I'm just kidding.
So I don't know where I was going with that story, but that now I'm done. Now we can take a break.
That's right. I'm finished with whatever I was talking about.
And scene. All right, you ready to take a break?
Sure.
All right, this is Barkast, and we are at Gashead.
When we power plant bodies.
All right, and we are back at Gashead.
The Gashead.
Gashead Tavern, officially.
Okay.
And during the break we were talking about this. The logo they have for Gashead is probably my absolute favorite logo of any bar I've ever seen.
Well, there's a cool like behind the bar. So like behind the bar, it's all like a brick wall, and you've got like Edison lights and whatnot. But then there's like this massive, like almost like door entrance size, like mirror.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's an old sort of dusty mirror, and then it's got like this Gashead Tavern like logo on it. That's like, it's almost like a gas mask with like tentacles coming out of it.
And like maybe
it's
that's
really great. I mean,
maybe that's something that some high-priced interior decorator found, but it just feels more authentic. I mean, I know it wasn't here when they took over the space.
Right.
But like, it just looks more like. There's rustic and then there's fake rustic. This just kind of looks kind of rustic, and I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
And the Gashead, the logo has a gas mask, and I believe it looks like tentacles coming out of the gas mask chambers. So it's got a little bit of an alien thing going on, because especially the gas mask eyes are really big, like those aliens that like anally probe you.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that.
But also like it conjures up like these great dark references like Chernobyl, or when the Germans were bombing London and everybody had a gas mask. Or
wasn't that fun? Wasn't that a great time?
You remember mustard gas in World War I?
Sweet.
So. What do we have going on this week?
Oh gosh, there's like all kinds of crap going on right now. Like,
I think we didn't touch upon a lot of current events last week because we were too busy complaining about all the money I lost in Reno.
well, I was gonna say like we were too busy complaining about the Lost Reno episode last week, and this week we'll be too busy complaining about the Lost Dr. Zeke episode.
Not that wasn't a headline story.
Right.
Me losing money.
This is like turning into like that David Cross like Mr. Show sketch where it's like the tape delayed call-in show where he's like. They delay it by 1 day, so he answers the phone and like everybody wants to talk about whatever's going on television right now. So he's like, no, that was yesterday. This is today. We're discussing something else.
That sounds like a Saturday Night Live sketch, where it's like they run into the ground.
Right? Yeah.
So what happened this week? Ted Cruz, everybody's favorite lunatic, Ted Cruz has decided, even though he's polling at somewhere around 8% approval rating, he is going to run for president. And like somebody explained this to me like after that, because immediately remember like all the Obama like birthers,
right?
Their big thing is that like Obama wasn't born in this country, so he can't like be president.
Yeah.
So like Ted Cruz,
and this guy
is
really
Canadian.
wasn't. Like yeah.
And as it turns out, like I guess what's his name, John McCain. He wasn't born in America either. He was born in Panama.
Oh, I didn't
But
know
I think he was born on like a naval base or some shit like that.
Some stupid loophole.
So the thing is, like, I get it. I have no problem with John McCain running for president or even Ted Cruz running for president. But like the absolute indignation people had for like Obama.
Yeah, like it's total hypocrisy for sure.
They thought that they didn't have any proof. They were just like harping on this long-term birth certificate. Although you know what? It's great for comedians, having Ted Cruz in the race.
I will agree with that. I mean, like, especially like since, especially if it winds up being like Hillary Clinton versus like Jeb Bush or something like that, like there's not a lot of comedic value there. That's not like sort of off limits.
Can we just
territory
say?
at this point.
I mean, like we're like over a year separated from the actual election. Can I just say if it's not like Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush, that that's what it's going to be. Like, I'm sorry, I've read the rest of the book, and spoiler alert, it has to be Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush. Everything you're going to hear for the next like year and a half is just going to be bullshit.
Right.
It was the exact same.
I'm sure there'll be another Herman Cain or somebody that will come along and like blithering idiots will like throw money at them and then they'll go away.
Well, here's the thing. Like in the last Republican primary I think people should write books, like comedy writers should write books about how awesome that was. It was like every morning as a comedy writer, you'd wake up and you go and you read and you're like, look at this beautiful present the Republican primary has brought to me.
Well, because either that or you're like, I'm fucked. Like this is all like funny out of the gate. Like I can't do anything with this. But repeat it.
That was the easiest time to be a comedy writer because you just had to read the news.
Right.
The thing is like. And I said the exact same thing going into the Republican primary in 2012. I was like, it has to be Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney's the only person who's not a fucking lunatic.
Right.
I was like in this
that's
field.
really saying something. Like,
but the great thing about that Republican primary is that virtually every candidate was leading the polls at some point.
Right.
Like Michelle Bachmann was leading the polls.
Oh God.
Who's that guy from Texas? That lunatic who takes painkillers.
Oh shit! Not Rush Limbaugh.
The governor.
God, I'm so happy to forget his name. Like
I know,
makes me overjoyed.
He may be going to jail.
Like Rick something.
Rick Perry.
There we go.
So Rick Perry, like he was leading the polls. Herman Cain was leading the polls at one point. Newt Gingrich was leading the polls. Ron Paul was leading the polls at one point. And there was even a very
Wake up, America. Like Ron Paul is leading the polls.
There was even a very short time where, even though he hadn't declared, Donald Trump was leading the polls for the Republican.
Like Donald Trump, like he's done this for like the last like 4 elections where like he's like, yeah, I'm going to run. I'm going to change things. And then they're like, will you release your financial records? He's like, I'm out. Like, oh, okay. Like,
see ya. Oh, there's my ride. So I honestly didn't think that a primary could be better than the last one, but like Ted Cruz, I think, is the only one who's officially thrown his hat in the ring.
Right.
So here we go. What else do we got going? The Indiana gay. I'm sorry. The religious freedom law that they signed into effect.
Yeah, what I sort of love about that is that now, like, there's such momentum, like, for like the gay rights movement at this point, that anybody that does stick their neck out, like, in a way, like, is almost immediately just dealt with. Like boycotts roll in. Like, no one puts up with it. Like, it's not something where, like, people are like, well, it's like, hey, half of the country believes this way, half of the, no, it's something where everybody's sort of in agreement that, like, yeah, that's bullshit. Like, you can't do that.
Well, the thing is, like, the speed at which, and this all has to do with social media.
Yeah,
it's like the speed at which everything, like, people reacted, like, like pushing legislation through in Washington D.C. takes fucking forever.
Oh yeah.
Right. So. But like the backlash from this law that was signed in Indiana, suddenly like everybody's boycotting the place, and they're like, and like even like the NC2A was like talking about how they were thinking about like maybe they don't want to go back, and like immediately within like a week they're like, oh well, we're gonna adjust this,
right?
And also like the whole like concept of this law is the basis of the law is them saying like, okay. If my religion says that I can't support, like, say gay marriage or something like that,
right? You
throw your hands up and be like, well, what can I do? My religion says I can't do it, right?
Right.
And generally speaking, I would never tell somebody that their religion is stupid. But if you are basically doing something stupid because your religion says it's stupid, I won't call you stupid, but I'll call your religion stupid.
Yeah, and that seems fair enough, right?
Exactly. I mean, like, I try not to say like, oh, you're just like a dumb like Christian or something like that. But like, I don't like to do that. But like, if these dumb Christians are saying, well, we would love to think otherwise, but our religion says, the big man upstairs isn't down with the fucking gay queer eye.
If you use one thing as the rationalization for why you're doing something, then you're allowed to say if that one thing is stupid.
Right, exactly, and it's almost like people are saying, like, well, what can I do? This is how I believe, and it's like, yeah, well, you also believe you shouldn't like mix fabrics in your fucking in your clothes, so.
Right.
But whatever. I mean, so.
Well, speaking of ridiculous decisions based on religion,
there we go.
Didn't like there was a big documentary that came out on HBO a week and a half or so ago, called Going Clear.
Oh yeah.
Did you get a chance to see it?
See it?
I lived it.
Committed it to memory. And actually, it is like an amazing documentary.
It's pretty compelling. Like, it's pretty. Yeah, I mean, like, and I don't consider myself someone that's totally ignorant about Scientology.
I consider you that. About Scientology. Sure. Yeah.
Like, but this, I mean, like. This had like sort of access that like no one's seen before.
Incredible access.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, like, you hear all these stories about how when people were going to do like Scientology documentaries or even like movies about Scientology, the church itself is very
vindictive,
vindictive and uncooperative, and they try to shut it down. In fact,
they'll sue the shit out of you. Like,
I remember when the Master was going into production. Supposedly, the Church of Scientology was giving P.T. Anderson shit, and I was like, "Oh no, P.T. Anderson, he's the guy who's going to really bring this home and really expose it all." As it turns out, it was not. That wasn't that at all.
Like, I mean, I don't think that P.T. Anderson necessarily like cowered to pressure or anything like that, because like he probably just didn't. Wasn't necessarily want to make that movie anyway.
Right, exactly. It probably wasn't the movie he wanted to make, and like even though I wanted him to make that movie, it doesn't mean like he has to. I mean, like in my mind, he does have to do what I say, but
Well,
So in the Going Clear documentary, they don't have like sort of like research from like people who know a person within the church who's friends with someone.
Yeah,
it's people who are actually high up, like
OT8 levels and shit like that.
Like the leader is still like, what's his name, Miscavige?
Yeah.
And his like
who seems like complete insane.
Lunatic.
Yeah.
But his like two right-hand men, they were the ones who were like, basically like being interviewed in all these like,
Right.
all in Going Clear.
As Brendan Lynch put it on Twitter, he said that it's a really great movie if you like to watch bitter middle-aged men snitch for 2 hours.
That's true. But like the one dude who was basically like a PR guy for the Church of Scientologists, he was saying like, yeah, well, the thing you got to keep in mind, anybody who's like high up in the church and they're dealing with like the public or the press, they're all lying. He's like, I lied. I lied for years, and then they kept like showing him saying stuff. He's like, yep, I lied about that. I lied about that. And he's like, I bold-faced lie. He's like, I lied out this entire time. I'm just like, great. But I mean, like, I'm not out to get Scientology or anything. I mean, I think like as we've said before, the entry-level like tenets of to get people into Scientology are all like self-help stuff.
Sure.
And that's why Dynamics was a big hit in like the 70s because it was the self-help age.
That's what makes like their sort of like stance against like any sort of psychiatric help or anything like that. It makes it like all the more weird because like you watch that and like it's basically psychoanalysis, but you're holding like a couple of tubes while you're doing it.
Well, that was the one thing about the documentary that was really compelling is like they were like they're profiling the two biggest Scientologists in the world are Tom Cruise, who is a lunatic, and like he's kind of a lost cause.
Yeah, he comes across as a fucking nutbag.
Yeah, and then you have like John Travolta, who comes across as a very sympathetic character here.
He does, yeah.
Because like
you just get the feeling that he got in too deep, and like now he's buried under it. Like he's
like there's no way out.
I could come out and tell the truth, but like people I love, people I know would all be like destroyed by it.
Well, also like one of the things they were talking about when they're doing their auditing sessions.
Yeah.
Their auditing sessions, like you hold these two like Campbell soup cans,
tubes.
and then they ask you like really deep questions. It's basically psychoanalysis, and they ask you to tell you all your secrets.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like everything that like gives you like anxiety. Like,
and these aren't trained professionals. These are like fucking volunteers.
Right.
But they write down everything.
Right.
So like if you're John Travolta, and I'm not saying he's gay or not, but like there's always been these rumors, and you're like having this auditing session, and you're telling them all this like deep secrets that you don't want people to know, and you realize that they're writing it all down. Like when I'm in my therapy session with my therapist, like he's not writing this down like ooh midget porn.
He's like barely even there. Like, he's playing Candy Crush most of the time.
Right, exactly. He's usually he's probably in between bites of his sandwich.
Now's the time in therapy where Johnny Ding Dong eats a sandwich.
But like so like one of the things they were saying that, and they weren't saying that this is an absolute truth, but like if you're somebody like John Travolta and like maybe you wanted to get out, and then suddenly they have this library of fucking things that you've done, and like maybe you don't.
Think about like okay, if you're John Travolta, and you achieved your maximum fame. And let's say you are gay. Let's say that like
sure.
And you are now like the most like you're the sexiest man alive essentially in 1976 or so.
Right.
And you're like 20 years old or 19 or something.
Yeah.
Like imagine like what that's like. Like I'm sure that there's 1,000 things that he could be embarrassed by. Like just like that are like. Well, you know what? Like it was 1976. It wasn't that weird to like like blow Dionne Warwick with her fake dick, or whatever like weird shit was going on.
Well, I kind of feel like okay, there's a side of me that says, look, I understand that like maybe back in that day. I mean, it's not like today. Like the gay rights and gay acceptance has like even in the last like 10 years has just made an enormous like They've traveled at light speed to get people
totally
on their side. In fact, so much that I was reading that one of the Marco Rubio, one of his pollsters, he came out with a report that said about the Indiana gay discrimination law that he said like, look, anybody under the age of any voter under the age of 30 is not going to get with you if you support like shit like this. And like anybody who's like been to college is not going to support you. Like 95% of those people aren't going to support you. So it's like this, like being like this, like arch conservative against gays is this is a losing subject. So let's like stay away from it. So but like in my mind, I'm like, okay, in the 70s, maybe it wasn't so easy to come out of the closet. Although John Travolta, you were in Saturday Night Fever with the Bee Gees, like
Right.
people, you don't need to be a fucking.
That's probably the time you should have done it.
People know what time it is.
Right. Exactly.
Although I love Saturday Night Fever and I love the Bee Gees, but I guess like I accept that. Like if somebody said like, hey, it was a different time then, I didn't want to come out of the closet, but it's like, well, what's stopping you now, John Travolta? Like, do you think there's going to be like an enormous backlash against you?
Right. Like all I can think is that like maybe there's other people that like would be totally destroyed by by him coming clean with everything, where he's like, I don't want to be responsible for destroying like 20 lives.
Well, he doesn't have to do a tell-all book. He doesn't have to.
That's true. Yeah,
it's not like if you have a press conference to say, "Hey, I'm John Travolta and I'm gay." The next question is, "Well, who'd you fuck?"
Well, that's my first question.
Exactly. It's like, Barry Sobel, how'd you get in here?
It's very easy to say that you're gay. Like let's hear some names.
Exactly. I think like if you in this day and age, if you at a press conference and you're John Travolta and you were to say that you're gay, like nobody would care.
Right.
Like people would be like, it would be the cover
like,
of it would be the cover of Who Cares magazine.
It's like, oh, what are you gonna tell me? George Michael's gay next? Oh yeah.
Oh geez. Oh my God. You want to take a break?
Let's do that.
Are we done with? Yeah, I think we got everything. Oh, we didn't touch upon the Obama thing. Whatever.
Oh,
we'll get it when we come back.
That's
all
right.
This is SFBarkast, and we are at Gashead.
Back at the Gashead.
Have you ever been to the Gaslight District in Vancouver?
Vancouver, I have.
It's very nice.
It's been a while.
I should. I actually. This summer will be the first summer I'm allowed back in Canada.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like,
or should I say, congratulations, eh?
So I was like thinking about going up, like having a trip up to Canada, because I really love like Vancouver.
Vancouver's like just like from a purely visual and like, I mean, like, and it's pretty great, like people and everything like that too. But like purely like on a visual, like how it's laid out and like what it looks like, it's like the prettiest city in the world, I think.
Vancouver and Auckland, New Zealand. Like I've only been there like a handful. Like I've only been to Auckland twice, and like I just like fell in love with it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So I basically I love a place with a lot of white people.
Yeah. No, that's the most important part. Or at least, not that there's a lot of white people, but just that there's not a lot of Mexicans. You know what
I mean? So there's no way to segue.
Like,
speaking of,
that's right. So last week I believe was the third or fourth installment of Trivia at the Right Spot.
I think it was the fourth or fifth. I can't remember. It is Jeff Cleary's Trivia Implosion.
There we go.
Which I named it after a screenplay I wrote about a nuclear car.
And also what was done to Building 7 by the government.
Yes, exactly, that too. And so if people don't know, the first Wednesday of every month, I host a trivia night at the Right Spot and on 17th and Folsom. And like initially, like anything, like a comedy show, like the first few times we tried to do it, it was just horrible.
Pulling
like
teeth.
Nobody wanted to come. Like and it's like I'm like going around to the bar, like pleading, please play my stupid little game. People were like, we're on a Tinder date, and I'm like,
you get away from my daughter.
Exactly, you ruined their first communion. Well, why'd you bring her to a bar? Anyway, but now it's like really like picked up some steam and some momentum, and it's a great time. And like here's a segue. Like here at the Gashead, they have a trivia night on Tuesday nights.
Ooh.
And but what I will say, being a trivia master, or we call ourselves TJs, trivia jockeys.
Yes, indeed.
What I will say about that is the one they have here is put on by Brainstorm or Brainstormer.com.
So is that the movie with Christopher Walken and Natalie Wood?
Yes, it is. Strangely, no.
It's a great forgotten Christopher Walken movie.
Who is this?
This is terrible. Like, I should not be telling this story.
You
but
should not be allowed around women. You know that.
But as a young child, not child, but let's say 13 to 14 years old, I saw the movie Brainstorm. And if you don't know the plot for Brainstorm, basically It's a science fiction movie made by Douglas Trumbull, who did the special effects for Star Wars and 2001, I believe. Anyway,
we'll see you next month, female listeners.
yeah, exactly. The leading cause of vaginal dryness, as Dana Gould says on his podcast. But anyway, so in the movie Brainstorm, the plot of it is that a contraption is invented to record your dreams, and not only record your dreams,
Your experiences.
but your experiences, exactly.
So, I mean, like, basically, when you give that's the premise of the movie, your
Right.
brain immediately goes, does it work on fucking? 'Cause that's
Well, and especially if you're 13 to 14 years old, there was a scene in that movie where like some guy that's like the janitor or like some like lower level employee that's not Christopher Walken or Natalie Wood, straps on the device and proceeds to like fuck some girl. But then, like, the brilliant part, and, like, this is the part that, like, 13 or 14-year-old me was like, that's genius, is that he takes the tape, because, of course, it's on tape, because everything in the future will be on tape.
yes,
because
exactly.
they'll never invent
Magnetic
anything
tape
else.
is never going to go away.
Exactly. So they have this, like, sort of rainbow tape that records everything, and he cuts and splices it so that it's, like, when he fucking jizzes or whatever, it's a loop. And so, like, he basically just, like, replays the experience of, like, orgasming over and over and over again. And so, like, Christopher Walken and, like, the rest of the actual scientists come back in the morning and find him basically comatose.
He
Like
died.
He did. I don't know if he died, but I think that he at the very least went insane. Like he just shut down
Everybody knows.
after like coming for 4 hours. He was like, you know what, that's enough.
Everybody knows that you can't masturbate nonstop.
Exactly. But he was trying to like sort of find a workaround for that. But like I want to say that
guy was
really
like
fucked me up as a kid because I was just like like the idea that like, oh my god, like you could do that forever. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Dude, this guy was like the Thomas Edison of beating off.
Exactly.
he's like, what, let's think outside the box here.
Quite literally.
I believe Cliff Robertson was in that movie.
I believe he was.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay, so trivia.
I don't know how we fucking got there. Trivia.
Oh, you were talking about the group Brainstorm, or the Brainstormers.
the
that ran the trivia
Brainstorm.
card.
Okay,
And then I interrupted
so
and told the story for 20 minutes.
as
and
a
who cares?
TJ, right? Exactly. As a TJ, I take a lot of pride in coming up with my own questions.
Sure.
Brainstormer is a big corporate, like.
Ooh, they're like the
yeah.
NTN, like
I think they.
electronic, like keypads.
I think they may do it all through like the TV or some shit like that. I mean, I don't know. Look, just because I don't know what they do doesn't mean I can't shit on them. Okay?
Exactly.
Like, don't look at me that way. I'm looking.
That's on
listen.
the crest motto of this show. It's like just
because we don't
know a fuckload of nothing about it.
No, but I do know that they are one of the two major corporate trivia event organizers. And let me just say, when you come to Jeff Cleary's Trivia Implosion, there's nothing professional about it at all.
That's right.
You're not going to get any, corporate trivia.
Damn straight.
Exactly.
And you know what you're also not going to get? Like the soulless, heartless, corporate, like, shill mindset of whatever poor bastard is hosting it. Like, you actually have put, like, your own, like, blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Blood, sweat, tears, and other fluids into it. Sure, yeah.
Once I looped the tape, I had plenty of fluid lying around. Can you imagine? Like, what would have been terrible in that scene is if they walked in and like the floor made it sound like they were like, like trotting on like maple syrup.
It would have been better if they walked in and he was beating off, and then he goes, "Oh wait, I'll be right out," and then they like stop. And then you come back hours later, and he's still doing it. He's like, whoa,
They just check on him like
doing?
every several days. They check on him. And he's like, "I'll be done in a second."
He's got to eat sometime, right?
It's like, I can't believe this is still going on. Like, that's my office.
All right, so this is our lead-in. Andrew, I'm going to bang some trivia questions off of you.
Okay.
See if you got. Okay, here's one. What? Oh, shit.
Well, I like it so far. So far,
Right.
it has all the
All right, wait.
everything that a question should have.
Do you know what the two official state colors of California are?
2 official state colors.
State colors. When I was like researching this, there's a bunch like you go on the Wikipedia page and it's amazing how many state whatevers there are.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like there's like state of course there's a state bird.
Right.
And there's a state flower. Right. But there's
because of like the terrible influence of big flower and like the politics has to bend to their will.
It's all a popularity contest, really.
Exactly.
But there's actually an official state fossil.
Ooh.
And it's not Hugh Hefner.
Oh, damn it! I was about to guess that.
But okay, so the 2 official state colors of California. Andrew, what do you think?
Oh well, let's see. Well, you got your Pink's hot dogs, so it's got a. Your Pink's hot dogs in Hollywood.
No, that's not one of them.
Your Pink Berry frozen yogurt. So I would think that pink has to be one of them.
Nope.
No. I don't know. Is there a color that?
One of the colors is blue, and supposedly that's for the sky, because no other state has sky.
Ooh, can I guess the other one?
Yes.
Is it? California is the Golden State.
Yes.
Is it not?
The second color is gold, and that represents the gold that was found up in the.
The second color is canary.
And somebody told me that if you look, most of like the UC sports teams are blue, are some variation of blue and gold. So Cal is like navy and like gold and goldenrod.
Warriors
canary.
Are
the Golden State Warriors are blue and gold. But although that they're not a UC team, but like
it's kind of
the UCLA Bruins are like blue and
powder blue
yellow.
And whatever.
So we got that. Okay, how about this?
Okay.
What 2 countries have governing bodies called 1, the Duma, and 2, the Knesset?
Did you say the dumbass or the Dumas?
The Joe Dumas.
The Duma. Richard Dumas, former NBA player and drug addict.
My hero.
Your hero. Because he's both things you've always wanted to be.
The Duma?
Duma delivers babies when if you want them to.
The Duma is a legislative body in Russia.
Ooh.
The Russian Federation.
Okay.
And the Knesset?
Knesset, I believe, is in Israel, isn't it?
That is in Israel.
Okay.
It's absolutely a true story that.
That Israel exists?
Is it true or false? Israel.
Really drew a line in the sand there.
What kind of trivia contest is this?
Welcome to Jeff Klinger's Trivia Knesset.
It's like trivia contest / clan meeting. Absolutely true story. Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to give a speech at the Duma in Moscow, and but he got lost and he went to the wrong place and walked in and said, "This is not the Duma."
Wow, that was such a long way to go for that joke.
And you know what? Actually, another absolute true story.
Tell the truth. Did you write that trivia question only so you could tell that joke?
I worked back from the dumb jokes.
Exactly. What sounds like tumor?
Another absolute trivia true story. Arnold Schwarzenegger went to give a speech at the Knesset in Israel, and he didn't get lost, and he just gave a really good speech.
That's a really great story. Yeah. That story has everything I look for in a story.
All right, you want me to give you one last one before we go on to whatever we're talking about? Okay, sports. According to Forbes magazine,
we can go from this into sports. That makes sense.
All right. According to Forbes magazine, for 2004, who was the highest-paid soccer player in the world?
Highest-paid soccer player in the world.
It's amazing because, like, looking at the list, it's like number 1 was Floyd Mayweather, and then there was this guy. And then there was like.
Oh, wait, you said soccer player, though.
Soccer player.
Oh, okay.
And then there was Tiger Woods, and then there was the second soccer player, and then there's like this parade of soccer players I've never heard of. Like soccer players get paid really good money.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea.
Well, you got your superstar elite players are like your Lionel Messi's, and your Cristiano Ronaldo's.
Okay, and those are the top 2. Which one's number 1?
Let's go with Ronaldo.
Ronaldo is correct.
You would think that, like, Madrid is probably going to pay more than Barcelona, even though they'd be very close.
I like how you really thought that out.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you have to go through the entire history of the Catalan people first. But then you eventually get to the fact that Madrid is superior to like Barcelona.
Like genetically.
Yeah, well, I mean, like wars have been fought to determine that.
Okay, so are we gonna like?
Well, we should go into sports. I mean, like let's talk about
what do we have in sports?
an American sport like basketball.
Okay, sure.
We're getting close to playoff time.
Okay. I was gonna say this for my plug, but like,
all right.
The absolute my plug this week is like the Golden State Warriors. Oh my God! Like
pretty sure no one's heard of them.
They are on a tear.
Yeah.
I think they've won like 12 in a row.
It's historic at this point, isn't it? I mean, like they're in sort of high elite ground at this point. They've already won 60 games, correct?
Well, remember, I think it's 61 or 62 games now,
and there's still
remember like
several left
in like the 90s when they had Michael Jordan played with Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman.
Yeah,
so you had like 3 like Hall of Famers on this team, and they won something like 72 games. Like
they were
the Warriors
ridiculously dominant.
The Warriors could win 70 games this
exactly,
season.
Yeah, and which is crazy because like I think like part of it I think is West Coast bias, and the other part is just
West Coast bias.
Like, I don't want to like cry
it's like a female orgasm. It doesn't exist.
No, I'm sorry. Like I mean,
joking.
of course, East Coast bias. But like I think that there was a certain amount of that. I think if this whole situation was playing out in New York, you wouldn't hear the end of it.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
It would just be like this is like the best team ever to exist.
Dude, like one of I mean, if you watch like national or ESPN like sports media, like one of the big stories is how bad the Knicks are. It's like even when they're bad, they're still turning them into like some headline.
The number one story is like, why does Carmelo Anthony suck so much? Whether or not they can win, like, is still up in the air. But like, they have to be at this point. Like they've gone beyond like one of those like sort of Atlanta stories where it's like, oh yeah, they're doing really well, but we'll see. Like you sort of have to give them like.
Now here's the thing, like
I
have like some very close friends who are like diehard, lifelong Warrior fans, and they weren't born when Rick Barry won the championship. In like 74, 75. Right. So like this means a lot to them, but like I asked them, I was like, hey, so like what do you think of the chances? They're like, yeah, maybe not this year, but maybe next year. I'm like, you guys are just trying to protect yourself.
Right, yeah.
I was like, this is the year. I understand. Like you don't want to get your hopes up and then just get like fucking crushed.
Believe me, like as a lifelong Sonics fan, was it 1994, 95?
Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I think it was like 94, 95 season. Sonics have, far and away the best record in the league. Like they're on Sports Illustrated. Like can this team be stopped?
The Rain Man.
Exactly. You got like Peyton in his prime, Kemp in his prime, Detlef Schrempf in his prime. Like you got Ricky Davis in his prime. Like Eddie. But anyway,
stop.
Yeah, exactly. I could go on all day. Kendall Gill in his prime. Yeah. But you had like like all these players, and everyone was sort of saying like, yeah, this team will bulldoze over everybody, and then like that smiling asshole Dikembe Mutombo and his wagging finger.
And I believe they were the first number 1 seed to get beat by a number 8 seed.
And then when did that happen again? Good question.
The
Warriors beat the Mavericks with Baron Davis.
That's right. Yeah. My advice to like Warrior fans is like, dude, like I feel like they're very unaccustomed to being the sort of like the favorite. So that's why they're a little like intimidated. It would be better for like a diehard Warrior fan to be like the overachiever, like, oh yeah, we're gonna sneak into the playoffs and then just cause a ruckus and like do really well. Yeah. But like it's a different role when like you're going to be favored to win it all because like I don't care, like all these people saying like, well, San Antonio is such a veteran team. I'm sorry, dude. Like San Antonio can't beat they can't beat the Warriors. Like I think they're way too old.
Just in the last week, there was a game with it was the Warriors in Phoenix.
Yeah.
But it was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And
Phoenix played great because they're young.
And the game before that, I mean, like that was a crazy comeback, and like it was just and they won a game that they shouldn't have won. But then like the game before that was against the Clippers, and Steph Curry like just turned fucking Chris Paul's like ankles into dust.
Yeah,
like he fucking ruined them.
There's a I mean, I guess it's for me, and I am totally biased because I love the Warriors, but like there is a really good argument for who the MVP should be this year because like Steph Curry is like doing things that are just incredible on the court.
Yeah, and like I might have defended either Harden or
or Westbrook.
Or Westbrook or LeBron or even Anthony
Davis. Yeah,
like, insane. Like they're all having like great seasons, but like the fact that like in those last two games between the Clippers and the Suns, like the Warriors have nothing to play for at this point. They've clinched like home court. Everything is like in the bag. Like there's no reason that they should be playing like as hard as they're playing, and like. The fact that they're still doing it just sort of like and having fun and killing people and coming back like is amazing. Like it's a real testament.
I mean, they should know
Steve
that like
Kerr,
I mean like honestly, if you really want to wrap up the MVP for Curry, if they if they win 70 games, there's no way you can not give it to Steph Curry.
Exactly,
I don't care how many points Harden scores. But also like I think even if they fall short of 70 games, it's hard to argue that like the team with the best record in the league, with the best player and the best team, shouldn't get the nod over.
You can't give Steve Nash back-to-back MVPs and then not give Steph Curry an MVP for like the year he's had. Like
Absolutely.
you just can't do it. It's like it would sort of ruin the whole award if he didn't.
Nash,
get it at this point.
he retired.
He did retire. Good for him. You know what? Like if I was left with the choice of playing for the Lakers or retiring, I would retire.
If you were Kobe Bryant, Andrew, would you looking at like you're going to come back and your contract's going to be up I think in 1 year.
Right. I think I'd move to Colorado and hook up with that girl again. She's of age now.
Yeah, exactly. Would you want to play for the Lakers? I know he probably he's only got a few more years left. And I just that team is so bad.
But
at the
same time, I feel like so would you just quit and retire, or
here's the thing.
or would you go to a team that is already stacked?
Here's the thing: you wait to see if both Westbrook and Kevin Love want to come to the Lakers, and if they don't,
right,
then I wouldn't want to. If I was Kobe Bryant, I would either retire or try to go to a team with a chance to win it all. Because the Lakers are the fucking fourth worst team in the league. They're not going to get better unless they land a huge free agent.
Unless Iggy Azalea's ass can play point guard.
Might.
I'd pay to see it.
You want to take a break?
Sure.
All right, this is SFBarkast. We are at Gashead. We'll be back.
I can prove it to you, watch the rotation.
All right, and we are back at Gashead.
At Gashead.
How's your time at Gashead been so far, Andrew?
You know what? I've had a really great time here.
I know.
Given how awful of a clusterfuck Dr. Teeth is several doors down, this place has everything that bar has except a huge backyard, which is nice. But the front of Dr. Teeth's is also a maddening shit show. So
I'm almost
I can't believe that more people don't wander down here. It's
you know what though, we should just enjoy this right now because
I guess so. Yeah.
There's this beautiful everything changes. This is this beautiful moment in time.
You've learned a lot by living in San Francisco as long as you have. You've learned that it's if you enjoy something, wait 5 minutes. It'll suck.
That's true.
It's wait 10 minutes. A bunch of shitty fucking millennials will move in and ruin it.
No matter what, it could be a fucking lemonade stand, and some millennial coming by and fuck it up.
I like this little spot on the street I can stand in that's in the sunlight, and then they'll be a
bunch of fucking programmer bros.
Yeah, exactly. 20 guys standing in line for it the next day.
Yeah, I actually have had. I mean, this is such a I said at the beginning of the show that this is an oasis, but it's just been a fantastic time that I've had here this afternoon. And maybe it says more about me and my age that it's just it was nice and calm and not loud.
Right.
And they were playing some some crunk, not some crunk, some dubstep earlier. And now they're playing all this great chill out music.
Right. I know. It's based on like the like the music and the number of people here, it should be 4 a.m, but it's like 4 in the afternoon.
Well, like we were saying, like the neighborhood just changes. That's just like shit that happens in the Mission and in San Francisco. It's like you can't hold on to like the old days because everything's always going to change. But let me tell you something.
You're living in the past, man.
There is something that I miss a lot about San Francisco, and it is like the kind of like the freaks.
Right.
And I don't mean like there's still plenty of mentally ill homeless people, and that's not what I'm talking about. Like that's not.
You're like, there's still plenty of those. Don't worry.
But like like you want to see more people who are just kind of like askew, or at least like entertaining on a level that like you don't get at your average television watching or something like that.
Right, like entertaining like on a level different from like a Cheesecake Factory in Pleasanton or something.
It kind of sounds like I'm going somewhere with this, doesn't it, Andrew?
You would think so.
And I am.
Oh, good.
So I just have to tell a story about my friend Susan. She adopted a dog. Like
co-adopted.
I know it sounds really stupid because like when you. Like if you decide to be a dog owner, like you're the one that gets to set the rules, right?
Sure.
She met some girl at a party who adopted a dog, and the girl's like, "Oh, I can't like totally like parent this dog. I need someone to co-parent."
Oh, well, it sounds like you made a terrible mistake then. Like
I know.
I guess that's your problem, isn't it?
Right. But instead, my friend Susan, who is in her defense is a very nice person,
right?
She stepped up and said, "Oh, I'll co-own." But the thing is, like automatically there are like problems in this like setup because
I can think of quite a few.
Andrew, if you and I like co-adopted a dog, well, like maybe when the dog's with you, you let the dog eat off the table, and I don't feed the dog or something like that.
Maybe I'm like in a slightly poisoned state of mind because I've lost 2 animals recently. But the first thing that pops into my head is like, that animal is going to die under the care of one person, and then the other person will blame that person for it for the rest of the eternity. Like,
wow.
Like, that's if everything goes well. If everything goes like perfectly well, and like the dog lives for 14 or 15 years, eventually like the dog will either like start to decline physically and like and be in need of care, or like we'll just be hit by a car or something shitty like that. And like that's the thing is like like when you talk about like pet ownership or child ownership or something like that, like it comes with the grief that like comes with their passing or whatever. But if you're given like an opportunity to blame someone else for it, my God, you'll like fucking grasp that like nobody's business. Like,
you sound like a parent there.
I'm sorry about that. Believe me, I'm not responsible.
One of the things I will say about I've said this before about like people who have kids. It's like when you get a pet, there's another assumption there, where it's like, hey, if everything plays out, I have to watch this thing that I love with all my heart die.
Exactly, yeah. Like,
and I have to say goodbye.
And that's best case scenario is like you get like 10 or 15 years. And like,
it's killing me. It's about a year since my cat passed, and I am still like distraught over it.
Oh, totally, yeah. And, like,
but like if you have a kid,
it doesn't really go away. It's just sort of like a shitty like stain on your life.
Right. But if you have a kid, they grow up and then they get tattoos and they become strippers.
Right.
So like, and then you die, and you don't have to see them die.
Like kids, to me, like kids might do something and probably will do something that you can like totally disown them over. Where you can be like, well, you know what? I did my best. Now they're like. Now that he wants to like date that girl like with the fucking like raging case of herpes, it's not my problem anymore.
Let me tell you something.
Like I would probably give up on a human like 50 times faster than I would give up on a pet. Yeah,
you know what? My cat never got into a good college, but he also never stole ran up my credit card and crashed my car.
Right, exactly. Like,
so basically, like the long and short of this is that. My friend Susan, she has this dog, and the co-owner of the dog is this new age sort of hippie kind of woman.
Uh-oh.
And this is where I'm getting back to like the people who are like super entertaining that you don't meet that much in San Francisco anymore. So she's really into new age stuff like crystals and past lives and stuff. And she told Susan that she did a reading on their dog, and she found out that in a past life, this dog used to be a monkey whose parents were murdered. Yep. That's
the best story I've ever heard.
That's
actually.
the San Francisco I miss. You know,
Right.
what are we gonna? What do we have now? We have a bunch of like bros with backwards baseball caps trying to kick off Mexican kids from the soccer field.
Exactly, like show me another city where monkeys' fathers do anything interesting. A monkey's father is usually a pretty dull person.
What did somebody say that I told that joke to it's not a joke, it's the absolute truth. But somebody said this is so this dog in a past life was like Batman or it's like he watched his parents get murdered in front of him and then suddenly he's got to avenge them somehow.
So he's not like a regular monkey. He's got a terrible burden that he has to take his revenge on.
I will carry this burden into my next life as a lap dog.
I'm only a monkey, but I have to avenge my father's death.
In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey.
Beck, the Scientologist. It all comes full circle.
So, very quickly, I was doing some research for the trivia night, which is the first Wednesday of every night every month at the Right Spot.
I've heard.
And so I was looking up some mottos for countries, and I just want to read you a couple of choice ones.
Oh, please do. I think most people were hoping that you would start naming country mottos.
Well, basically all these country sometimes when you live in America, people always use freedom and liberty and all this stuff as there's no other country that has these concepts.
Right.
But 85% of all the country mottos are freedom and unity and through we work together for a better. It's everybody's just as idealistic as
the country motto of Yemen is probably hey, everybody's happy here.
It's if you were a redneck and you were traveling the world and you're talking to somebody you do understand what freedom is, right? It's no, don't worry, they understand what freedom is. It's on their fucking flag.
Right.
So here are some country mottos that are absolutely true.
Give them to me. Shoot.
Luxembourg is. We wish to remain what we are.
Well, realistic goals. That's what that country's all about.
That basically sounds like Luxembourg is having an argument at 2 a.m. with their girlfriend. Where they're saying, "Don't try to change me. You knew who I was when you came into Luxembourg."
It's you knew what I was when you were born into it.
Moldova, they're
Moldova. Let me guess. No, go ahead.
Their motto is, "Our language is a treasure."
No, it's not, is it?
It is.
It's a booby prize is what it is.
Estonia had they don't have an official motto, but for a long time their catchphrase is I guess their unofficial motto was "Welcome to Estonia."
That just sounds like a translation mistake where it's hey, what's your company motto? What's a company motto? What do you tell people that come to your country about it? Welcome.
Nepal, their country motto is
"Come litter on our mountain."
It's "Mother and motherland are greater than heaven."
Ooh.
Which, hey Nepal, you're pretty fucking full of yourself.
Yeah, really.
It's
no mothers, Nepal.
No, you did a double mother there, Nepal. Portugal, their motto is, "This is my beloved happy motherland."
Because I would have guessed that it's ruining America's communities since 1600.
I think their sub motto is "Better here than in Fall River."
Exactly. Their sub motto is mostly kale and onions. Their motto is a kale soup recipe.
New Bedford can eat it. the Prussia, which was dissolved in 1947.
We're going to be dissolved in 1947.
Their motto is to each his own.
Their motto is, you don't like it, shut us down. Oh, you did?
Their
All
motto
right.
is like, just leave me alone.
So we're trying to have a country here. So that's the if New York became its own country, it'd be like, hey, we're trying to have a country here.
Switzerland, very very plagiaristically.
Let me guess.
their motto-
No, we'll stay out of your business. Don't worry. you kill all the Jews you want.
Safe haven for Nazi money. Switzerland is one for all for one.
That's
Which
to me, that's
I think
basically kill all the Jews you want.
I think we stole that from somewhere else. Puerto Rico, their
Worst
motto,
parade ever.
Their motto is still John is his name. Which
I like mine. Worst parade ever.
worst parade ever. Puerto Rico's John is their name is because it used to be called San Juan, which is St. John. And I guess like John is his name. I have no idea, Puerto Rico. Like I've never understood you. I don't anymore. Scotland, they have two mottos, and
What the fuck are you looking at?
I didn't write down the first one because it was like probably something about liberty and shit.
Right.
But their second one is for Scotland. No one provokes me with impunity.
Ooh. You're damn right.
Scotland, outside of a fucking like Edinburgh bar, like when's the last time you laid a beating on someone, Scotland?
Their country's slogan is like, now pick up your teeth and get out.
It's like I think their flag is just a picture of Begbie.
That's right. Someone getting like a stein cracked across their head.
And those are all the ones that, although Poland, and this is absolutely true, their motto is screen doors for all the submarines.
Their motto is welcome to Estonia.
Their flag is just like a memorial to all their deceased like ice hockey players who died at spring training.
A picture of someone stranded on a broken escalator.
Are we done with that? I love archival jokes.
I only have 50 more left.
All right. What is your final analysis, Phil Giuano, of this bar, Andrew?
This
the
place
Gaslight.
is like, for where it is, especially, and like, I hate that like the mission has become like has gotten to the point where like you have to say like, you know what, for the mission this is pretty good, but like it's I think it's really decent.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I like it.
In fact, like maybe it's like one of those things where you get like, like you didn't expect much, and then you get delivered a lot, and then you're just like, I just can't like. I thought this afternoon was just going to be an abortion, and like we came in here, and it's just been great. Sean, the bartender, is just
to be
been
fair,
awesome to us.
we did take my wife to get an abortion this afternoon.
Oh right, yes, I forgot about that. And like
I thought this afternoon was going to be an abortion, and then we went somewhere else.
I have more to say on the subject.
All right.
And I really hope that this all like turns out because we have the new recorder.
That would be great.
Because like if it doesn't work out, then like nobody's gonna hear this. And if I lose another Barcast, like I'll be like, oh my god, it's like this must be what it feels like to have like a miscarriage.
This is what it's like to have God tell you to stop your podcast.
God.
I will say that as I told, this is the first time that we've had a guest on where the podcast didn't work, right? I mean, I guess like Kevin Montgomery.
Reno. Also in Reno, we had Evan.
Oh, that's right.
Evan Cass.
I was going to say that it's terrible to lose a podcast like that. But as I said to Dave Thomason, the great thing about this podcast is that in the absolute worst scenario, we get to hang around and and talk in a bar, and like that's what we're going to do anyway. So So at one point it's like shitty to lose a podcast and it sucks, but on the other hand, 9/11 was an inside job.
It does feel like exactly what you said. Although, like, it's just a tribute to Dave Thomason because he's like such a sweet guy, and like you could tell he had.
Don't
like
lay it on too thick. He's going to know that we're lying.
I hate. Dave knows I hate him. But he's such a sweet guy, and like he had such a good time that he's just, in his reaction was just like, oh, well that sucks, but like we'll do it again next time.
Right.
I'm like, so Dave, our apologies. We should get like an intern that knows what he or she is doing.
There we go.
Can you get like
We're opening up for auditions right now.
Can you get school credit for like basically driving two drunk guys home?
I hope so.
I'll
have to ask my wife.
We may need to get somebody from like Florida State.
Excellent.
All right, so I'm giving this place a big thumbs up. I love this bar.
Totally.
And in fact, like this is probably, I think this is like the second time I've been here, and I love it even more.
Excellent.
So I'm giving it a big thumbs up. Andrew, how about you?
I love it.
You got anything to plug?
Like nothing this week.
Yeah, I think I'm all set too. I'll plug the bar. I was going to plug the bartender, but that's not nice to say. I want to like thank the bartender.
Yeah. And then if things go well, maybe plug her later on.
Shauna, my apologies to you. But by the time you hear this, I'll be long gone. But like, yeah, the bartender's been nothing but nice to us.
Totally.
And so
she doesn't deserve that.
Yeah. So this is SF Barkast. We're signing off from Gashead. I'm Jeff Cleary.
I'm Andrew Louder.
And we'll see you next